Hi friends, my name is Olivia and I make videos about books on the internet, and today's video is going to be a broad, general, chatty kind of video about my experience working at my university library for the last 2.5 years. I'm not sure how much I actually mention this on my channel, but obviously I work at my university library. I've worked there for the last 2.5 years and it's been a really amazing experience, but it's my last semester this semester, and so I'm feeling really sentimental and like reflecting upon my time at the library because it really was like my favorite thing that I did at college, honestly. And so I thought it'd be fun just to make a general video about like my experience. And so in this video, I'll be talking about my favorite moments of this job, funny moments during this job, things that were my least favorite moments, and also just kind of tips, tricks, general things that I learned while working at the library. Before I do that though, real quick, I want to say one thing. I'll put a timestamp down below to like when the actual library stuff starts if you want to skip this little thing. But I just want to say real quick, thank you so much to everyone who commented on my 2018 goals for my channel video. My notifications on my phone weren't working, and so if I haven't replied to your comment yet, I'm sorry, I wasn't getting notifications about it. But people just commented a lot of really lovely things. People were really willing to like share their thoughts on my channel and like things they'd like to see me do more in the future, things I can improve upon, and it just made me feel really touched. Like a lot of people took the time out of their day to try and help me out with like what my channel could be this year, and there were a lot of people who commented who I've never seen comment before, and so I'm really happy that people were jumping down in the comment section. I just wanted to share that little, because it made me feel good. Okay. Let's jump into the video. So first, let me just explain what my actual job is. I work with the interlibrary loan department at my university library. We handle all the borrowing and lending of books outside of our actual university library. And then for the last semester, I've been picking up shifts at the circulation desk. That is a desk where people come to borrow books, check out books, ask questions on books, place orders for books. It's a very hop-in desk. I might as well start with my favorite moments and favorite parts about this job. Being around books, obviously a pretty big perk there. So much of my job requires me to be actually up in like the physical stacks, like where the books are kept. And so I get paid to pretty much walk around and like find books and like reshelve books and stuff like that. And when you're walking around like these massive shelves that have like thousands and thousands of books on them, you're constantly just like finding really cool sections, finding books that you want to read. My camera roll on my phone is just full of photos I took of books that I found while working that I wanted to remind myself to go back and then later read and check out. We have large collections of like graphic novels, for example. Our collection of graphic novels is like massive just because like as an academic library, we've got the space and the resources to like buy a bunch of stuff. And our literary fiction section is amazing. It's massive. It's all these books that like I have never heard of before, will probably never really see in a bookstore once I graduate, but like they're all there up in the stacks. It's really cool. Another thing that's great about working at the library is that the people are really nice. I don't know if this is universal around all libraries or if it's just my library, but pretty much in general, every like adult like person who works there full time that I've met has been like a really lovely, warm, welcoming person. Libraries definitely tend to attract like more kind of introverted, maybe a little geeky people, which are like my favorite kind of people to be around, and so I've met a lot of people that like I really like and connect with very instantly. Another thing that I actually really like that's kind of like cheesier but I genuinely loved was just like being a resource to people. People don't know how the library works. I've noticed like a lot of people I go to school with have no idea like where to go to borrow a book, how borrowing works, like what the fines are, like what the borrowing periods are like, and I kind of know everything there is to know, at least on a base level, because I've worked there for so long, and people are always like really amazed and really impressed by that and like super grateful to find someone who can just like help them find their textbook for their class. So any customer service job obviously has like weird, funny moments that come with it, and so I might as well share some of like my favorite memorable, funny, weird things that happen working at the library. Probably the funniest thing about working at the library, especially with ILL, interlibrary loan, is opening a package and seeing a really weird book in there. There are people who will use their university library to borrow erotica. It has not happened just once, it has not happened just twice. At least once a month, once every 2 weeks, I open some packages and there's a weird romantic erotica book in the mail. And it's not always the same person either. There are people regularly borrowing these things. Most of my funny customer service moments have come from working at the desk, and they usually stem from people who literally don't know how libraries work. I'm at the desk one night and this very distinguished gentleman comes up and goes to the person next to me and like hands a piece of paper and was like, "Hi, like where is this book?" It was the call number, and you can tell like where books are based on their letter, and he's like, "Oh, it's the 3rd floor." And the guy was like, "No, it's not. It was not there when I went up there." And the kid was like, "Okay." He's like typing the catalog trying to find this book, and he's like, "Alright, yeah, it looks like this book has been checked out. Do you want me to get you a copy from a different library?" Because this guy was like, "I don't understand. why isn't the book there? And the kid was like, you know, it's been checked out. My supervisor kind of came over and was like, just kind of watching the transaction. And he was like, well, who has it? Do you know? And the kid was like, I mean, I can look up like who has it, I guess, but it's kind of confidential. And like it's due back in like 2 weeks or so. So if you want to wait in 2 weeks to see if they return it, you can. So what ends up happening is the book isn't available in our library or in another DC library, so we can't borrow it from those other DC libraries. It would usually take 2 to 3 days to get there. And so the kid's like, okay, let me do interlibrary loan for you. On average, it takes 10 days, and we look for the book in like hundreds of libraries across the country. And this man is incensed, and he's like, I don't understand. Can't you just recall the book from the person who has it? And there is a 4-week loan period when you borrow a book. And as I'm sure you know from libraries, once you borrow the book, like you have it for that period. It would really suck if like you borrowed a book, but any person could just come around and be like, no, I want it, give it to me, and then you have to return it. That's just not how libraries work. And so we very politely try to explain, like, we have loan periods, we stick to them. I'm sorry this book is not available, we can get it to you, we just need to use a different option. And for 5 minutes, this guy was like, so you're just telling me I can just check out a book and like have it on my shelf for as long as I want and no one can do anything about it? And I was like, that is pretty much how libraries work, my friend. You have hit the nail on the head there. And eventually he just like walked away and was like, forget it, and like didn't even order the book. And I was like, okay, have fun buying the book online somewhere. We could have just gotten it from the library and like it would have been free and a great resource. Obviously all jobs have their downsides, so it would be fair just to kind of explain like the parts of the job I didn't really like as much. There aren't many, to be fair. The real downside is knowing that I am in a building full of amazing books that I will never actually have time to read. Because there are thousands of books I want to read in this library, but I'm also a student and has to do like school time reading, and I will never be able to read all the books that are actually in my camera roll. And I know that once I leave school, like for good, I'll never have access to as amazing of a library as this one was, and that's actually really depressing. So now that I've told you guys my favorite parts, the funny parts, the worst parts, I might as well just kind of share like what I've learned from working at the library and like what I can kind of teach you guys, what knowledge I can impart to someone who maybe is using their own university library or libraries in general. There's so much more to your borrowing options than you realize. Like there are so many different ways you can get like books shipped to you, get chapter scans sent to you, get books put on reserve. Like we have a lot of resources. So like if you're a student, especially if you're a freshman who just got their syllabuses and sees like a million books they need to buy and you haven't figured out the library yet, go figure it out. Like with that, like if you're at school or even like with your local library, click around their website, like explore the actual physical building. You might find some really cool resources that you had no idea were there because they're not explicitly advertised. Like in my university library, for example, we like rent out different kind of technology. We rent out laptops and chargers. We have like a room in the basement you can go and like edit videos and stuff if you like don't have that software on your own computer. And you would never really know that because we're not like hella marketing ourselves, like all the amazing things you can do. Like with libraries, often you have to like kind of like seek out those programs yourself, but like once you do, you'll find like so many amazing free resources. With that as well, use your librarians. Like I work at the circulation desk, like I said, and so people are all the time coming up to me like asking questions, and they always seem like really nervous because they don't know how libraries work, but like your librarians know how everything in the library works. They can answer any question to you. They can come with like really creative solutions. Like just if you have a question, even if it seems weird, even if you're like, I kind of want a book and I have no idea where to get it, like do you have any other forms of borrowing, or you're like, I have to write a paper, like do you have a librarian I can talk to help with like resources, anything like that, like we can do so much for you. And it is really nice like working the desk when someone comes up and like has a very genuine question and is like very open to like learning about the resources and like learning about the library. It makes you feel really good to like teach someone stuff on your job. So like let librarians do that for you, essentially. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. If you want to talk about libraries, comment down below. If you also worked at your own library, either in your university or in like a local area, and you want to share like weird stories, I would absolutely love to hear your weird patron stories. I feel like my stories are pretty tame. I've read some or heard some from other people who work at my library that are just like bananas, so please share them. Thank you guys so much for watching my video as always, and I will talk to you soon with another one soon. Mwah.